Have you ever found yourself craving closeness with someone, but the moment they get too close, you suddenly want to run? Or maybe you've been told you're distant or you're emotionally unavailable. But deep down, you know that's not the full story. If any of this sounds familiar, you might have what's known as an avoidant attachment style. And today, I'm going to walk you 10 clear signs that this might be you or someone you care about. Before we dive into the signs, let's quickly set the stage. Attachment style is the way we connect with others emotionally. How safe, open, and comfortable we feel in close relationships. It's shaped by our early experiences with caregivers, and while it's not set in stone, it often follows us into adulthood. The avoidant attachment style, sometimes called dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant, isn't about not caring. In fact, people with this style often care deeply. But closeness feels dangerous. Intimacy triggers fears, sometimes fears they can't even fully name. Today's list will help you recognize the signs, but remember, these patterns don't define you forever. Awareness is the first step toward change. Sign number 11, you value independence above all else. For many people with an avoidant attachment style, independence isn't just a personality trait. It feels like a necessity for survival. From an early age, they may have learned that relying on others could lead to disappointment, rejection, or even emotional pain. As a result, they built a strong self-reliant identity, believing it's safer to depend solely on themselves. While independence is a valuable and admirable quality, for avoidance it can become a protective shield that keeps them from fully experiencing intimacy or connection. Asking for help or leaning on someone emotionally may feel uncomfortable, even threatening, because it challenges the deep-rooted belief that vulnerability equals danger. This mindset can make relationships tricky. Partners may misinterpret their need for space as disinterest, when in reality, it's a carefully constructed wall designed to keep their heart safe from potential hurt. Sign number 2. You feel uncomfortable with emotional closeness. Feeling uneasy with emotional closeness is a common experience for someone with an avoidant attachment style. Even when they genuinely care for a partner or friend, moments of deep connection can trigger a subtle sense of discomfort or tension. This often comes from early life experiences where closeness was unpredictable, overwhelming, or unsafe, leading them to associate intimacy with potential hurt. As a result, when relationships start to feel emotionally intense, their instinct may be to withdraw, create distance, or distract themselves. They might enjoy spending time together, but prolonged vulnerability, like sharing fears, dreams, or insecurities, can feel draining or risky. This isn't because they lack love or affection. In fact, they often desire connection deeply. The struggle lies in feeling safe enough to stay emotionally present, allowing closeness to exist without fearing that it will lead to loss, disappointment, or emotional overwhelm. Sign A3, you pull away when things get serious. When relationships begin to deepen, a person with an avoidant attachment style may instinctively pull away, even if they truly care about the other person. This often happens when milestones are reached, such as discussing the future, meeting family, or exchanging heartfelt declarations of love. These moments, while positive for many, can trigger feelings of being trapped or pressured for someone who equates closeness with vulnerability. The shift is rarely intentional. It's more of an automatic self-protection mechanism that has been ingrained over time. They may suddenly become less responsive, create physical or emotional distance, or focus heavily on work, hobbies, or solitude. To outsiders, this can look like rejection or loss of interest, but deep down, it's often fear of losing independence or being emotionally hurt. This push and pull dynamic can be confusing, both for them and for the people who genuinely want to get close. Sign number 4, you struggle to share your feelings. Sharing personal feelings can feel like stepping into dangerous territory for someone with an avoidant attachment style. They may believe that opening up emotionally will make them vulnerable to judgment, rejection, or even manipulation. As a result, they tend to keep their inner world private, preferring to deal with emotions on their own rather than risk exposing them to someone else. This habit often starts early, when expressing feelings might not have been met with understanding or support. Over time, they learn to rely on self-sufficiency as a shield, telling themselves they don't need to share in order to cope. In relationships, this can create a noticeable gap. Partners may feel shut out or unsure of what's truly going on inside. While the avoidant person may see this as maintaining control, It often limits emotional intimacy and can unintentionally prevent deeper, more trusting connections from forming. Sign number 5, you downplay the importance of relationships for someone with an avoidant attachment style. Downplaying the importance of relationships often becomes a subtle but consistent pattern. They may tell themselves and others that they don't really need anyone, that they're perfectly fine on their own, or that love is nice but not essential. On the surface, these statements sound like healthy independence, but beneath them lies a protective mechanism designed to reduce the emotional risk of getting too close. If they believe relationships aren't vital, then losing one won't hurt as much. This mindset can also help them justify keeping people at a distance, avoiding the vulnerability that deeper connections require. Over time, this attitude may lead to a preference for casual interactions or maintaining emotional boundaries that feel safe but also isolating. While they might genuinely enjoy companionship, they often keep it in a frame where emotional investment feels optional rather than necessary. Sign number 6, you keep people at arm's length even in long-term relationships. Avoidants often keep an emotional buffer zone. This can mean avoiding too much personal disclosure, limiting shared activities, or maintaining lots of personal space. Sign number 7, if you prefer logic over emotions. Avoidants often pride themselves on being rational, composed, and practical. But sometimes, this can be a way to avoid emotional vulnerability. Feelings are messy and logic feels safer. Sign number 8, you feel trapped by commitments, even when commitments are with someone you love. They might trigger anxiety or a desire to escape. The idea of being tied down can feel threatening. Sign number 9, you're slow to trust doesn't come easily. You might expect people to let you down, so you stay guarded until they prove themselves, sometimes for months or even years. Sign number 100, you have a history of short or surface-level relationships because deep intimacy feels risky. Avoidants often gravitate toward casual connections or relationships with clear boundaries, where emotional entanglement is limited. If you've recognized yourself in several of these signs, remember, this isn't a life sentence. Avoidant attachment is a pattern you learn to protect yourself. And what's learned can be unlearned. With awareness therapy and small steps toward vulnerability, you can move toward a more secure style of attachment, one where you can have both independence and closeness without fear. So, the next time you notice yourself pulling away, pause. Ask yourself, am I protecting myself? Or am I preventing myself from experiencing love? Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments which signs stood out the most. And remember, change is possible. And you're not broken, you're just healing. Until next time, take care of yourself and your heart.